my count. 7, 6, 5, 4.
Here we go, Roger.
And on Insights, two eyes in the middle. INSIIGHTS, where we always talk the talk.
Hello, everybody. This is Mickey Clayton, the coach, originally from Cleveland, and my partner in crime,
originally from D.C., Northeast D.C. Stand up. What's happening? 202 is your favorite reporter's favorite reporter, Rick Brown. What's happening, Coach?
As always, Rick, it's you.
You know what, man? It's Tuesday night. I'm feeling all right. I'm ready to party today.
You ready to party today? What does that mean?
Oh, Coach, don't you know? I got me a little sippy right here.
Oh,
and I'm ready to, let's just start it off.
I don't know what's now. This is an adult show, so let's keep it adult show.
That's right. Hey, there's no one under 18 here.
at least at your house.
Yes, indeed.
At your house. Hey, man, we did get I got to put it up. I did get an extended message. As I was telling you earlier, you kind of scared off most of the Cowboy fans. They were really kind of quiet here.
Should I apologize to them?
No.
It ain't gonna happen. Of course they're quiet. Of course they didn't want none. They don't want none because, we tell the truth here. We call it straight, no chase.
No chaser.
And, hey, if you can't take the heat, Cowboy fans, join us anyway. We won't kick you out the kitchen yet, but we don't want you near the stove.
I'm going to get me a clip, an emoji or something. I got to get me one with straight no chaser. I'm going to get us something that once we tell it, we just hit that button and it come up and it roll. And we'll do it like that.
I like it.
But we did get some feedback, and it was about the compensation with student athletes and things. And one of our frat brothers, it said, well, if the NCAA is not going to pay athletes, I don't understand why they don't. And they are not going to allow them to sign endorsement deals while in college. This trend to leave will only continue. They don't want to pay athletes because it's an unfair advantage for smaller schools, but it's already an unfair advantage due to boosters. I remember when all the pro players and ESPN commentators started saying Zion should not play in the NCAA tournament because it was a risk. He said, I agreed, because once you turn pro, it's about business than the game. And he said his coworkers disagreed. He said that same week is when Zion got hurt, when his shoe exploded apart. And the next day, you should see the look on my coworkers' faces. They said that he had huge risk when you have millions on the line. They said Coach K from Duke said at least allow endorsement deals or college basketball will only get watered down. I can't blame these kids, just their day job, just like you and I have.
I do remember when Zion blew that shoe. I think it was in the ACC tournament. And boy, there were a lot of scared people, not just Duke fans, but shoot, I think the Pelican fans as well. I mean, not the fans, because the fans didn't know, but the owners and the GMs and the leadership of the Pelicans, I should say, were nervous. That's, I have to admit here, Coach, I can't come straight here. I am kind of torn when it comes to players and deciding not to play in the bowl games or in the tournament. Number one, I do understand why you wouldn't. It could cost you millions of dollars off the top. But a lot of these athletes have insurance policies even in college. So that can save them a little bit. And that's where I want to see them in the dance. I want to see them play. So that's where my wishy-washy, and I hate doing that, but I can't, but the reporter in me understands it. The fan in me wants them to play.
Yeah, I got you. You know, I'm kind of torn like that too, but I remember very distinctly when that happened, what we had, I remember Obama at the game, and he was pointing at the blown out shoe. And he was, he was like, right there. So, these guys, they don't figure out what's going on. Like we said in the last show, they're now coming out of high school, not even finishing high school, going to the league and going to a professional league and playing. Yeah. But one of the things that we are going to do I kind of did a very poor job in transitioning last week, but I'm going to do my transition a little bit better on our Legends segment. And again, it's on Dr. Frederick Humphreys. He had I was looking to put a piece on there since it was the anniversary of the Tallahassee boycott, bus boycott. And he tells the story of how the football players shook the guys off the bus when they shook people off the bus when they came through campus to enforce the bus boycott. And I'm going to play that again later. But while I was doing it, researching that piece, here's a short piece that Dr. Humphreys, being the educator that he is, has an interesting thought about different minorities and ethnic groups and taking advantage of what their strengths are and using them as instruments to teach.
That meant is, if you could find that's something that would be something since you have a natural advantage in that academic area, that it would be worthwhile then to bring that to the attention of young people and then get them to major in that, because the fact that you had a central tendency, and it means that for the ethnic group, black folks, it was easy to do that. And one of the things that we have, Mickey, I was always amazed that our kids, as a marching band, never played with sheet music. Our band just plays because they know it and it's there, right? And that's interesting about our ability to codify and to remember stuff, right? And that's a wonderful tool that even it's not a tool that we use in teaching. If we would understand that in us is the ability to hear stuff and have it, all right, and teach that way so that the kids could take maximum advantage of that, all right. So we didn't do that, and because we never made anything of it, right? But the ability, it's like I have a hard time giving a good speech from a manuscript. I got to do it without the manuscript. And if I do it without the manuscript, I can be very, very good. All right, but then when you write something down and you try to, follow that script. I can't do the best job. So I always throw away the manuscript and talk from here. And it always comes out better. I just give a better speech.
You said it comes from here.
Yes, sir. Remembering the legends. And Dr. Humphreys is still that. And all that in between. What he say? He had to throw away the script to give his best speeches, didn't he?
And the thing is, if you don't know Dr. Humphreys what, 6'4"? About 6'4", 6'5"?
6'7".
My bad. legit 6'7". And I can see him doing that. I can see him like looking at paper and like, nah, and just coming right here.
And
Coming
throwing
from
it
the
away now.
Yeah.
Humphrey's also one of those athletes, former athletes. Him and my dad played together at Florida A&M on the basketball team. But he's one of those former athletes that's actually a brilliant person. And the segue to that is what we do with the academic component, the Woodard Awards. Now, we got a short clip for this week's Woodard Award winners. I can't even tell you about this young lady coming from middle school and then blitzing people in 9th and 10th grade, a sophomore at Sophomore Maddie Hougland, Chiles High School. She's a star, both in and out of the classroom. All she did was continue her accolades and achievements from Montford, where she was student government vice president, honor roll 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Continued that honor roll right along the Chiles 9th and 10th grade. Basketball 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, starting point guard. Softball 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, middle school teams. Varsity flag football 9th and 10th grade, starting running back. Student government vice president Montford. She has done pretty much everything. MVP flag football at Chiles High School, varsity level 20 and 21. Her season record, she has the most receptions in a season, 96 for 667 yards, 7 yards a catch. First in rushing, first in all-purpose yards, tied for most interceptions in a single game, 7. Second in passes defended. Congratulations to Maddie. Boy, she has a bright future ahead of her with a 4.0. Man, she does just about everything. And she's only a sophomore. If you don't know about her, you need to.
All right, Maddie. Good job, Maddie. Good job. Good job. Keep it up, please. Keep it up. Be that shining beacon there. Do it.
Great. Now that's a horse. That's a horse. I got a little brother. I'm playing catch with him. He ain't gonna catch the ball 96 times just playing catch.
Well, if he had a quarterback. But we're not gonna talk about that. Because passing was never one of your fortes, Coach. Straight no chaser. Straight no chaser.
I just didn't pass to you. I passed to people who could score. My youngest daughter was like that. I said, why you didn't pass the ball to him? She said, Daddy, they can't catch the pass. I can get a shot up myself.
Yeah, we know where she got that from.
Yeah, we know. Uncle Kevin. Speaking of which, I'm going to bring on our special guest that we have with us today. We have my little brother, Cass Vice President of Diversity, Inclusion, and Engagement, Kevin Clayton. And I do mean special. Like I said, he's my younger brother. And his accomplishment and successes far outweigh the things that I've done. And I'm a pretty heavy fella. Welcome to the show, Mr. Vice President.
Coach Clayton, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We hear you and see you.
Well, I can attest you did pass the ball. You passed it to me.
Absolutely. You knew what to do with it.
Oh, here we go. Kevin, then you coming on here and feed it into this. Don't feed it to him, Kevin. Don't do it.
But Rick, to be clear, is because if I didn't pass it back to him, I wasn't going to get anything to eat that night.
Okay. Tell the truth. This is the straight no chaser we're talking about here. This is what we're talking about. Thank you, brother Clayton.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, my brother.
I think what you're getting from Kevin is two guys from Cleveland.
Yeah, what is that a show? Huh. I've heard of that before. Huh. Two guys from Cleveland. Huh. I've heard of this duo before.
Hey, put your seatbelt on.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Put your seatbelt on.
Well,
Hey,
you
man,
know,
how's
you
it
knew it was
going,
going
man?
to be trouble when you had three Kappas on. You knew that was going to be an issue right off the bat.
Oh, there we go.
Hey,
Who knew? Who knew?
now we're supposed to be talking about an issue that's very serious. Now, see, we already down the boys, or as the guy from Jank Barbecue Sauce said, y'all just like my uncle sitting around at a barbecue chopping it up, y'all. Kevin, do you remember how long ago we used to talk about that when we would watch stuff and say, man, what we could do if we just sat around and just discuss what was really going on in a way that we discuss what's really going on.
And who knew that people actually would listen and wanted to hear more about it?
Hey, you right about that.
Two brothers from Cleveland.
Two brothers from Cleveland, and boy, we really chopped that up pretty good.
But when you have something interesting to say, like you guys, and bring something interesting to the table, of course they want to hear it. People want knowledge. People need knowledge. They crave it. You guys gave it to them, and hopefully we're doing it now.
And hopefully we're doing it now. One of the things with Kevin is that, you know, he was at North Carolina Central, and with his family being so ingrained at Florida A&M University, he has a deep tradition at HBCUs and understanding. And I think he started really, I don't know if it was with Russell or with Procter & Gamble. Which one? You were Procter & Gamble first.
Yep, started with P&G. Absolutely.
Could you tell the audience about a story, if you feel comfortable in telling it, about telling P&G about our SBI students and how they did not believe that they were what you were telling them they were and what you had to do to prove your point?
Yeah, Coach. And what I find very interesting is how after George Floyd, how all of a sudden people were like, historically black colleges, where did they come from? Wait, there's 107. What do you mean? I thought there was only Florida A&M, Morehouse, Spelman. I thought there was only 3 or 4 of them. But now, what is this crave about HBCUs? So to your question, going back to, I started with P&G in '81, and based on you opening doors for me at Florida A&M, you know, we came down for a visit. Understand that we had a paper plant in Albany, Georgia, just an hour away from Tallahassee, and we had not recruited at Florida A&M. So as we went down, and I came down, and it was like, look, we have to come back to this school because this is the Harvard of the South. And people didn't believe it, Mick. If you remember, it was like, wait a minute. The talent couldn't be as good. I mean, it couldn't be as good as the other schools. So as I brought down an entourage of P&G executives, and when I was in your green room, I was listening to you talk about Dr. Humphreys. Rick, Dr. Humphreys put on a show for these folks. It was no script. It was him speaking from the heart about all of the different programs, from SBI to the internship programs to all of the ways in which we could invest our dollars in recruiting. And we went from one division, because I represented the sales division, to having 6 or 7 of our different divisions, let it be manufacturing, marketing, accounting, sales, all came down, and we became the preferred vendor, the preferred corporation of recruiting at FAMU. And Mick, I think you remember we used to set up, it was P&G Row at all the recruiting conferences. It was, so now P&G, well, then that was when P&G was open, and we were bringing students from all over the country from FAMU and placing them literally every place because we struck gold. Struck gold.
Yes. Sybil Mobley.
Yes. Yep.
Rest her
Dr.
soul.
Mobley. Yep.
Oh my goodness. Oh, SBI.
Yep. And,
Wow.
and speaking of SBI, because, you know, I just like to use my success in life has been using what they're passionate about to my benefit. P&G folks are very competitive. We walked our CEO, and you know the tour that they give around SBI. We walked them outside, and our CEO looked at the big board. And for your audience, the big board are all the donors, all the corporate donors outside with the plaque on the wall. And one of our competitors was near the top. Like I said, I like to use what people are passionate about and what moves them to get what I need out of life. And sure enough, our CEO looked up top. P&G wasn't there. He immediately wrote a check for $100,000 to get us to the top.
Wow. Awesome. That's
I
awesome.
remember the story, Kevin, but it wasn't my story to tell. And that's why I led. And see, that's not the only story, Rick. Tell him what happened when you went to Russell and how you ended up feeling like there was a need there for Russell sporting with not only with Florida A&M, but with the black colleges again.
Yeah. So Rick, as Mickey mentioned, you know, our family, which is now some 6 generations going back to our grandmother who played tennis at FAMU, our mom, our dad, uncles, nieces, nephews, brothers, all of which have gone to Florida A&M. So an HBCU is, I mean, that's just ingrained in my blood. Hell, I learned how to play bid whist by sitting around watching Mickey when I was in high school. It wasn't because I went to an HBCU. It was watching him and all his HBCU friends, and when I used to come down on campus. So I learned about historically black colleges when I was in junior high school and high school. So with that, you know, as Coach Clayton has always been a passionate leader of young men and young women. I remember, so I started with P&G, left, and one of my next stops was at Russell Corporation, which is Russell Athletic and Spalding and Moving Comfort and Bike Athletic and just all the athletic brands. So I was talking to Mickey on a trip, and he used to call me on these road trips, scouting trips and recruiting trips. So he's calling me. It was probably 10, 11 o'clock at night, Mick, and I remember you were coming back. You were going down these winding roads and in the hills of Georgia. And I was like, Mick, what are you doing? Your season starts tomorrow. He was like, because I had to go pick up my uniforms. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you had to pick up your uniforms? He's like, yeah, because I had to take a check because they wouldn't take the school's check. So I had to go and take either cash or a cashier's check to go pick up my uniforms so that we could play tomorrow night. So, Rick, that thing broke my heart, man, because I'm like, wait a minute. Our black colleges, our money is as good as anybody else. Yeah, and I know the rivalry at Florida State. I'm like, I bet Florida State the coach wasn't driving in the back hills to go to pick up their uniforms. So when he told me this, I'm like, okay, that ain't gonna happen anymore. And I said that to myself. He didn't even know what I was doing behind the scenes. And the next season, I came to him and I said, look, can you get me on campus to your AD? We presented a plan to the AD, and we tested with FAMU first, and it was the making of a historic apparel contract that we started with FAM, and then we did all of the MEAC, all of the CIAA, all of the SIAC, all of the SIAC. So 48 colleges, men and women's apparel, all sports, and it was free uniforms every other year. Plus we did a bookstore deal where we took over the bookstore sales, and at that time the supplier was given like a 5% or 3 to 5% royalty back. I doubled that to 8 to 10%. Developed an intern program on campus for students to get jobs across, with our organization. And that was historic. That had never been done before. And that contract lasted, the one I negotiated lasted 5 years. Then it was renewed for another 3 or 4 years. So that was 8 or 9 years in which black colleges didn't have to worry about, going to pick up uniforms and what have you. So,
Wow.
So Coach, again, your motivation for you being the tipping point for all black colleges by what you allowed us to do with FAMU.
And again, we appreciate it. And we tell people all the time, it's about relationships. That things don't necessarily come to you because you're at Tennessee State, Florida A&M, Howard. If you don't have relationships developed, or family in this case, you can forget it. And that doesn't even count them coming up and supporting what was the #1 attended women's basketball program in the Southeast. We had our Rattler Red Invitational tournament at Thanksgiving time or somewhere around there, and we had 8 teams from all over the country come in and play in a double elimination tournament that they sponsored. And so, we just were able to do some things because of our relationships and Kevin being able to see some things and took advantage of them to create opportunities that helped all of us, that you now see some of the hard work and labor of what started, and you see some of the fruits of it today.
Yeah, but Coach, you talk about the relationships. It's the same way from a majority school standpoint. And what keeps us out is the fact that we don't have those relationships. And in professional sports and in collegiate sports, the reason why now there's this new discovery of historically black colleges and black talent is because they're opening the doors to us finally to have an opportunity, not to have a seat at the table, but to get into the foyer in the front hall. But we're now in the house, and it's based on those relationships that for so long has kept us out. We only survive from a black college perspective on having family relationships and historic relationships. But at white schools and predominantly organizations that are driven at the top by white leadership, it's those relationships that keep us out that they have.
Well, how do we get in there then? How do we not only just get in the foyer, how do we get a seat at the table? How do we get there?
Yes. So Rick, my platform around diversity, inclusion, and equity and belonging and all these words that are now being used is really around how do we create a level of familiarity, comfort that will lead to trust. Because the reason why Coach Clayton was like, sure, Kev, come on down and do what you need to do is because we have a relationship and he trusts me. The reason why we have not been able to get a seat at the table is because there was no trust of who we were. There was no familiarity of who we were as a race. So when you think about to your question, how do we get a seat at the table? It's really making sure the white folks are much more comfortable and are familiar with who we are, which is going to yield them, quite honestly, and I hate saying it like this, but to yield them to their best interest as to what's in it for them. What's going to benefit them by having me at the table? And that's typically something from an economic standpoint. How can I help you drive revenue? How can I help you sell more product? How can me being at the table will allow more customers or more fans to get into our building or whatever the cause may be? So that's what I've been able to do. I've just been able to leverage what's in their best interest, what motivates them to build that familiarity and trust.
How does that carry you now, Kevin?
So it helps me now in the work that I do because I have built kind of a strategic platform that touches our fans and increases our fan participation. And I'm not talking about just who walks in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. It's the millions of fans from a social media standpoint and broadening our ability to touch more people that look like me, more people that look like you, more people that aren't necessarily just going to gravitate towards the things that we do. from a performance standpoint, we've been able to show a performance value in when you have people in your organization that actually think differently based on their different lifestyles, that you are going to have more innovative ideas, and we've been able to quantify those. Also, when we think about it from a supplier diversity standpoint, that supplier diversity, people think, oh, let me do business with either a woman-owned company or black-owned company is the right thing to do. No, I leverage it because it drives innovation. And what I have seen over my career is that where you have innovation and it drives competition, you also get better pricing versus if it's a good old boy kind of situation where, hey, Mickey's my brother, as long as we do business with him, which in a lot of cases, that's what it's been. It's been who the majority has known for years and years, and they've always done business with. No, let me bring in Mickey Clayton because he has an innovative approach. Therefore, that's going to drive more revenue because his innovation is going to spark competition. So again, I've just leveraged it to touch those areas that drive kind of our leadership, that touch our fan base.
My little brother speaks so well and uses those words. I don't know who's been reading the dictionary to him.
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah,
Shots
but
fired.
hey, that's what happens when you're the big brother. But Kev, I need you to explain something to me about the Cleveland Cavalier brand in a major market like Cleveland with the Browns and the Indians and all of that. What do you do in terms of enhancing that, or how does it stand in the community? I know that your being there signals that the Cavaliers are really intent on doing some things within the community. And I won't necessarily say that everybody else was doing it at the same level, but what have you found to be the case there?
So it's interesting because, and I'll just use recently from a pandemic standpoint, we were shut down. As you all know, the NBA was the first major entity of any kind to really stop business. And when we did that, imagine our building, we host 200, pre-COVID, we host 240 events.
Counting basketball?
Yeah, counting basketball. So that's out of 365 days.
Yeah, that's 2/3 of the year.
Yeah. Yep. And we completely shut down. Now, the Cavaliers is our major driver, obviously, but that's non-playoff. That's only 41 dates out of that 240. So with that, this past year during the pandemic, we ranked 5th in revenue sales, and we've been in the top 10 even after LeBron. We're the 26th largest market. You see how I spent that? 26th largest market out of 30. Yeah. Or said differently, we're the 5th smallest market. Which actually
those who didn't quite comprehend that. If you didn't get it, I want to help you.
But yet ranked in the top 10 in revenue.
Wow.
So to your question, it's like, how do you do that? So what we have done, Coach, is really built a fan experience. And I was amazed. I finished my 2nd season with the team. And, we haven't won a lot of ball games, but we average about 10,000 fans. Our capacity is 19,000, but you're talking about a team that only won 24 games last year, 25 games.
But Kev, let me stop you. We both have gone to a lot of different sporting events. Everybody has a game day experience. Mm-hmm. What's different about the Cavs game day experience? And we've been to a lot, from the Final Four to all these different events that we've gone to. What makes that different, or what have you been able to see that you incorporated into the game day experience?
Yeah, what we have done is actually ask our fans what kind of experience do they want. And what I mean by that is, we do a lot of surveys with our fans. From the work that I do from a diversity standpoint is that we go to different segments of the population from a demographic standpoint, where if we have a night, and I'll just take like Noche Latina night, which is our tribute to the Latinx community. All right, we go to them and build that experience around the community, the Latinx community. when we have, like, during what for the Black History Month, we call it the Black Heritage Celebration. That's an entire month in which we're engaging with the African American community. We dedicate 3 games. There's give backs. There's all sorts of things. It is not transactional. It's not giveaway tickets or saying, hey, if you can bring 10 people, we'll give you 5 tickets. It's engaging the community so that the experience, it's not even the game. It's not even the product that's on the floor. It's about walking in our building. And from the time you walk in our building to the time you walk out, it's the music that we play. It's the food that we serve. It's the pricing of the paraphernalia and the merchandise. It's to make sure that, you know, our screen team or our fan engagement team looks like the communities in which we serve, so that, Mick, if you're bringing, you know, your grandsons to the game, they're going to see things that are going to appeal to, you know, little children, as well as you'll see things that appeal to you, from our mascots to the excitement that we create with our jumbotron and everything. So we use every element of the human experience from a sensory standpoint. And you think about taste, that's food. You think about sight, that's the visuals. You think about hearing, that's the music. You think about touch, that's just, you know, the way the environment is. We also have very specific needs. Like we were the first building to have a sensory room, and that's for, you know, children or people that are on the spectrum. So you can go to a private room. And let's just say you had a child that had autism and didn't want to hear all of the noise and all of the fireworks and all of that. You can actually go and watch the game on a big screen, and it's completely quiet. We now have same gender restrooms for the LGBTQ community. That is like for those people that you know are really nondescript in their gender. It's all gender restrooms. So every aspect of our community is what we've tried to touch, and that's what we're known for. People know when you come to one of our games, one of our events, let it be our hockey game or let it be a concert, let it be Disney on Ice, that there's something there for everybody.
Okay. And like you said, it's not as if the team has been overly successful here recently. It's been struggling in the rebuild. But let me ask you something else. Compare a little bit about the diversity in the NBA to some of the diversity in the other sports teams, in the other sport leagues.
So you talking about racial diversity?
Yes, sir.
Right. Well, I will tell you, interesting. I have found that it hasn't necessarily been significantly different, Coach.
Okay.
Here's what I mean. When I got the offer to join the Cavs, I was working for a healthcare system, and there was a young man, probably in his early 30s, that said, "Kevin, I can't believe," one of my colleagues said, "I can't believe you're leaving us to go do this diversity work with the in the NBA. They don't need diversity." And he laughed, ha ha ha. Coach and Rick, what he was really saying was, when you look on the floor, you see all these black folks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how hard is that going to be?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reality is, who's on the floor, who's on the court, who's on the field, across all of the 3 major professional sports, you do see black and brown athletes.
Mm-hmm.
But when you peel back and get into the offices of organizations, of sports organizations, you will see that the same challenges that we have are the same challenges that corporate America has, and that is who's at the top of the house for NBA teams, NHL teams, NFL teams, MLB, and others.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers aren't as significant as what you see on the court and on the floor. So that's really what part of my challenge is. It's translating who's on the floor, who's on the court, to also who is sitting in our boardroom and who is sitting in our senior leadership team and throughout the organization. Matter of fact, our aspiration for one of our diversity and inclusion strategic pillars is that our team members reflect the communities in which we serve at all levels of our organization, top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And we have very specific metrics and targets and strategies and goals, which includes recruiting in historically black colleges, because you know that's new, right, Coach? That HBCUs, they just got built post George Floyd.
Right. Didn't exist before then.
Didn't exist. Didn't exist.
But didn't the Cavaliers win some kind of diversity award a couple of years ago within the NBA? They were.
We have won different recognitions and acknowledgments in Cleveland, and from an NBA standpoint, we've been recognized as being a leader. So we are, if you look at the top of the house across the league, I mean, we have more African American women and in our top kind of 15 leaders than probably a third of the teams. So we've made progress, and there was a lot done before I ever got there. You know, all I've tried to do is to put it into more of a strategic way so it's sustainable over a period of time.
Well, one thing for sure, Kevin, we have appreciated you being a part of this show. I've been trying to get you on here for a minute, and I'm glad that we were able to work it out. You know, you so big time on us and everything now. I probably had to call one of your daughters and have them put a little bug in your ear, because I know if I can get one of them to say something to you, it's done.
And it was done.
Hey, I've had more positive response from your uncles, from your cousins, your nieces and nephews wanting to listen to the show because Kevin's on the show. They all want to see Uncle Kevin. So special shout out to all of those Claytons everywhere that wanted to see their uncle tonight.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you and Rick.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it, Kevin. Definitely. Here, I'm glad they finally meet a normal Clayton, because the one I deal with every week just drives me nuts. So thank you for joining us,
Rick.
And letting me know that other than the daughters, that you are, there is a normal male Clayton in the house. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Too much of that Coke. It's affecting.
This Coke is for you. Coca-Cola for Kevin.
What the heck? Hey, Rick, I appreciate the shout out, and I am normal. Believe me. Isn't that right, Coach?
Now I really want.
I'm normal. Normal things happen to me.
Now that is very, very untrue.
Hey, y'all, what's up? Y'all get ready to leave. I need you to go on down there and hit the subscribe and the like button. Yeah. We appreciate that. Hit. No, don't get no attitude. Just do that and hit the subscribe, hit the like, write a comment. Tell us something about the show. Tell us something about what we said. Now, hold up. I might not like what you say, but I'm for sure gonna read it and comment. And some of it we even use in the next shows. There you go. Down there, hit that button. That's right. There you go. We appreciate that. Appreciate it. That's how Insights grows. We all support each other. Don't do that. Don't get pissed off. Go on and take one more sip of that beer. Yeah, sports fans, that's what we do. We appreciate you. That's it. We appreciate you a lot. Insights appreciate you. Both me and Rick from MicknRick Insight Sports TV. We appreciate you.
Everybody, we appreciate you being here. Kev thought it was time to sign off, so he got off. But we appreciate y'all being here. I see you with your K-A-Psi. That's all right. Brother Rick, you want to say your good night farewells?
Yeah, I got to say a special shout out to you, Coach, just for being here.
Oh, man, I appreciate you, my dear brother. You know,
ooh,
that Pepsi in the trash can.
Ooh. Nah.
Stay up to date with the latest from Insights. Visit our website at insights.com. 2 I's in the middle, INSIIGHTS.
Insights is a copyright of Mac4 Enterprises, a Florida corporation. This broadcast is produced under the exclusive ownership of Mac4 Enterprises and is the intellectual property and trademark of Mac4 Enterprises. Comments of the host and other individual speakers on Insights represent their independent thoughts and representation.
Come back next week, Dallas fans. Come back.
Oh no! Don't call him. Don't call him to you, Rick. Don't call him. All right, hey, I told you too strong. That Coke is too strong. Good night.
We out. Peace.
Peace.